John, we have the CEO of Fox Sports, Eric Shanks, on the eve of the Super Bowl.
And we didn't even talk any interventions.
And I think for me, I want to be great at what I do. And even, talking even last week with the people at Fox Sports, and the leadership there allowing me to start, my Fox opportunity in the fall of 2024 is something that's great for me. So take some time to really learn, become great at what I want to do, become great at, thinking about the opportunity and making sure I don't rush into anything.
And we're back. The Marchand and Ourand Sports Media Podcast. I'm Andrew Marchand, sports media columnist for the New York Post. He's John Ourand, the media reporter for the Sports Business Journal. Very excited for the Big Get. We have Eric Shanks today, and then we're going to have a special pod coming out on Friday. We're scheduled to have Brian Rolap, the number 2 at the NFL, who's involved and responsible basically for all their big media deals that they've done, including the latest with YouTube for Sunday Ticket.
Going to be a strange interview because he apparently doesn't listen to our pod.
Yeah, I think he listens. All right, let's go. Who's up? Who's down?
Who's up? Who's down?
My who's up is Tom Brady. Brady is in such a great position. He can take a year off, a little gap year, before he's going to join Fox Sports as their lead analyst. 10-year, $375 million. When you listen to Brady, I mean, there is the question is he going to do it? Is he not going to do it? Talking to Fox people, they feel very confident that Brady will be in the booth. It's a lot of money. But the thing that they keep talking about is that Tom Brady wants to be the best. We know he's considered the greatest of all time as a player. As a broadcaster, he has all the cards. If he wants to do it, if he doesn't, he can now enjoy a year off, which is kind of nice because most people I know who have 10-year, $375 million contracts, they usually start them right away. So Brady's going to wait a year.
My who's up? Andrew Vigverisi, Fox Sports PR. I believe this is the first time we have ever had a communications executive on the Who's Up list. We've done the Who's Down before, Dan Masonson of NBC, but they said it couldn't be done. He delivered on Eric Shanks as the Big Get, a great interview that we have. But also, how many words was your Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olsen story?
I don't know, probably 1,200.
1,200. I came in at 1,800 words. I saw stories in The Athletic, The Ringer. I mean, that guy, he got. I know it's Super Bowl week, and it's sort of easier to pitch stories than not. But Andrew Vigverisi got a bunch of stories out, and he got us Eric Shanks. He was up.
Before I do my Who's Down, though, I did have a question for you. I read the Olsen piece, a little positive. I mean, which historical figure do you think he should be compared to? Gandhi, MLK, George Washington? Like, which historical figure do you think Greg Olsen should be compared to?
I'm glad you brought that up because I went into that. I was behind the scenes for that story, and the whole story was supposed to be about, hey, here's the crew going into the Super Bowl. And very quickly, I noticed they love Greg Olsen. Look at some of those quotes in that story. They really like him. And so your Who's Up, Tom Brady, when he wants to come into the booth, he's going to go into the booth. Like he's going into the booth, potentially replacing somebody who is really bonded with and is really well liked by the people in that crew. It's going to be interesting to see.
All right, let's move to Who's Down. John, I'll take it first. Last week caused a little of a stir on this podcast when I said this. I know CBS is aware of this. They tried an intervention last off season, and they knew, they anticipated this. So that's a credit to them, people in charge there, but it has not gotten better and it's a problem. CBS Sports is my Who's Down. I'll tell you why. So after wrote a story, they said they always have meetings with people. I was giving them credit. They realize they have an issue, which they do, with Tony Romo and Jim Nantz. A year from now, the Super Bowl is going to be a CBS Super Bowl. They're going to have to figure out how Nantz and Romo are going to get better. The word intervention is, they hadn't gone down to go see Tony Romo. It's not something they do all the time. They are trying to figure out a way to make Nantz and Romo better. So CBS, I was trying to actually tell something they were doing positively, realizing there's an issue with that broadcast booth. So I was trying to give them credit. But anyways, things happen. So CBS Sports, Who's Down?
All right, so describe intervention. What is an intervention?
Well, I did look it up. in Webster's dictionary.
That's how the conversations went, huh?
Well, no, I mean, I look. This is what happened. They hadn't gone down to see Tony. They went down to see Tony Romo last offseason. Sean McManus, the chairman of CBS Sports, he went on one visit. The lead producer for the NFL games, Jim Rickoff, also went out, I think, a couple times, maybe some other people as well. And they wanted to get Tony Romo back to the form that he had shown when he was first out of the league, when he retired and he was first in the booth and he was in sensation. He doesn't sound the same. His 2019 AFC Championship game, not only because he was predicting all of the plays correctly, it was Chiefs Patriots, but just how on top of it he was. There's a difference this year and last year. There are times where he doesn't know the names of players. That's bad. Now, I've talked about this a number of times. It's the combination. That could be endearing, like an Al McGuire was, if he had the right partner. Nance doesn't really pick him up that way. That's not Nance's thing necessarily, to be quick on his feet that way. But they just have to figure out to get Romo studying more, to get better chemistry between those two. And a year from now, they have the Super Bowl. And you can't, the reason the intervention works is correct, because if things don't improve, a year from now, they're going to be pretty nervous going to that Super Bowl about their broadcast booth.
All right. My who's down? Peyton Manning and Eli Manning, for that matter. I'm looking at Austin Karp's Twitter feed. The Pro Bowl on ESPN and ABC got 6.2 million viewers, which is down from 6.7 million viewers. They changed the Pro Bowl up. They got less viewers. The goal in this game is to get more. And so I on my social feeds, people seem to love the touch football. People seem to react well to it on social. But in terms of the raw numbers of people that wanted to watch flag football instead of an exhibition football game with pads, that's a pretty significant drop for me. So I think that's something. I might not be getting a blanket next year, but there's something that bears
you
watching.
took my line. I was about to say.
Yeah, I could. By the way, your eyes lit up. I knew exactly what was coming there.
Yeah, big podcast listeners, I was going to say blanket coverage from John Ourand on Omaha Productions. We're doing this podcast a little differently. A lot of times we go to the topics, but we got someone like the Fox Sports CEO on with the Super Bowl days away. You want to get right to that.
Yeah, let's get to Eric.
John, joining us now, the Big Get Eric Shanks has been the CEO of Fox Sports for nearly 13 years. You're in the position at just 38 years old. Fox, John, is completing what is one of the most incredible runs in sports broadcasting history with this Sunday's Super Bowl. For the last 12 months, they've had the World Cup, the World Series, the most watched NFL game in history on Thanksgiving, Daytona 500, and they led a college football transformation with the Big Ten deals.
Yeah, but the real reason we want Shanks on here is because you're a newsman.
That's right.
Newspaper owner. The Ojai
We're all,
Valley
by the
News.
way, we're all newsmen up here, right?
Yes.
We're all print journalists.
Exactly. You got a newspaper. What is that about?
Well, I grew up in high school working at our local newspaper in Brazil, Indiana, and did a lot of different jobs. And my wife and I live in Ojai, California, and when that newspaper was going to be up for sale, we thought it was the right thing to do with a couple of other partners to make sure that the paper was in the right hands. The guy that sold it to us said that a town needs three things, and it's a working sewer system, a hospital, and a newspaper. And as you guys know, towns with newspapers are, they function more properly. There's less corruption. Everything is better in a town when there's local journalism. And so.
And I'll tell you what, I went to the website before this interview.
We got a big story today.
Top story, the city council of Ojai hired a law firm in San Francisco and won't tell anybody why.
Exactly. So we filed a lot of Freedom of Information Acts. They're trying to sidestep us, but we're on the case. We're on the case.
Very good.
So, Eric, I want to ask you, though, 38 years old, you're all of a sudden heading up Fox Sports. How did that happen? How does that happen?
Wow. Okay, you're going back a little ways. Let's see. So, it's Fox Sports was a startup, actually, not too long ago. I mean, for all of us, not too long ago. And it was a pretty small place where I think it was the kind of ultimate meritocracy with not a lot of like built-in historic layers at this place. And so, they sent me around to do a lot of different jobs. I worked in ad sales for a while, produced Best Damn Sports Show for a while, sent me overseas to start Sky Italia, and then, at DirecTV for a while. And again, it was kind of right place, right time where David Hill and Chase were looking to kind of change management at Fox Sports, and I had just ended my stint with Chase at DirecTV, and I guess they thought I was the right person to run this place.
Is that how you try to run it now, with the same sort of not as much meritocracy?
Not as much meritocracy? No, clearly there has to be meritocracy. It's a merit-based system. No, I learned a lot from Chase and David. I mean, Chase, probably the most brilliant business mind that I've ever had the chance to observe. And David, probably the most brilliant showman in probably sports around the world. And so being able to combine those two things is still really what Fox Sports is today, or what everybody, at Fox Sports believes it is when you work there.
Let's get to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl Sunday. We are here in Phoenix, Arizona. The game's in Scottsdale. The day of the Super Bowl, where are you? How do you watch? Do you say stuff during the broadcast? What is it like for the CEO of Fox Sports during a Super Bowl?
Yeah, it's one of those, I think the playoffs that I'm out on the road for, and then obviously this game, it is one of those that whether Richie and Russo like it or not, I'm in the truck. John, you were in the truck last week at the NFC Championship. You've probably been in a lot of them. This is probably the most calm, quiet truck that is just going about their business methodically. And so it's a very, it's almost kind of like, for me, it's a Zen place where everybody's focused on one thing, which is telling the story of the game. Not telling the story that you want to tell, but, letting the game come to you, and through Greg's eyes, through Kevin's eyes, down through Richie and Z, and then, just being in there to be able to add any other set of eyes that I can. And, having grown up in TV trucks, it's really the only place that I want to be on Super Bowl Sunday.
Mike Mulvihill, your executive vice president, overseas research, went on the record. I've never seen an executive do this before a Super Bowl. Went on the record predicting an all-time NFL record for viewership from this Super Bowl. Where do you stand on that, Eric?
Well, I read the memo that he sent out, and then I read your paraphrasing of it. So I think in translation, you're the one that said he said he'd set a record. But I think he caveated it, as Mike always does.
Yeah, I didn't put quotes in
exactly,
there.
because Mike is always right, or leaves himself room to be right. There he is, right there. It has the makings to do exactly what Mike said. If everything goes our way, it has the makings to set a record, which really, for any network that does that, it's really just for chest thumping. It doesn't mean anything to ad sales. It's really just who holds the record kind of at that time, so that we say that we did. But a lot has to go your way, right? You have to have a really high initial tune-in at kickoff. You have to have a great halftime show, and then you have to have a finish to the game that keeps people around. And if all that goes our way, then maybe Mike will be right for once.
Now, Eric,
For once, my gosh.
We just had you just had your press conferences. Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olsen are going to be calling the Super Bowl. You had Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. This was a crazy year in terms of what happened with sportscasters and movement. From your point of view, just take us through, from your seat, what happened from, Troy and Joe leaving to now and how we got here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've probably talked to our peers as well. I think everybody was kind of reading and reacting and trying to figure out, okay, if this puzzle piece moves around here, what are your options? Between Brad Zager and myself, we always knew that Kevin and Greg could call a Super Bowl, 100%. So if what eventually happened, was in the cards, that Joe and Troy ended up going somewhere else, didn't know where that was going to be at one moment in time, we were honestly never really scrambling behind the scenes, because we knew that Kevin and Greg could absolutely step up at a high level. And I think now everybody's seeing that as well. So for us, the bummer was Joe and Troy leaving, but then after that, we were pretty content, with what our plan was.
What has surprised you about Greg and Kevin?
Look, the only thing that has surprised me is that everybody now is seeing what we've seen for the last, 2 seasons before this one, is that Greg is a phenomenal talent. He is passionate about the game. He's able to teach the audience really high-level concepts in an entertaining way. And, the thing that sets people apart in this business is they put in the work, right? Like he wants to be great, and this is what he does. And so our production meetings are absolutely fantastic. Like, you want to go out and play the game right then, and just so that everybody in the truck is on the same page, as what Greg has told us the night before.
How did the Tom Brady deal come together?
Let's see. Initial conversations, and then a surprise retirement that we found out about on Twitter, just like everybody else. And then Brad Zager really saying, hey, we've done it before. We've done it with Greg. We did it with Michael Strahan. We've done it with others. Would you be open to having the conversation about, having we did it with Kevin Harvick just this past weekend. But would you be open to at least, having the conversation about planning post-playing career if you're going to go back? And, it all came together, and that's where we are today.
What's your relationship with Brady, like right now?
That's an odd question.
Well, I mean, like, how much communication have there been over the last year with Tom?
Yeah, look, conversation, obviously, getting to know, what that cadence is going to be like. But I can already tell, there's a reason why people say not only is he the greatest player of all time, but he's an even better person. And I think that what you're seeing is, even what he did yesterday on Colin Cowherd, coming on and making sure that people knew what his plans were of taking a year off, and knowing that we had this week here, that was kind of a good teammate move.
Now, I reported his 10-year, $375 million deal. Why does a contract like that make sense for Tom Brady?
Well, for Tom Brady, it does.
For the Fox Sports signing Tom Brady.
Look, everything, it makes sense for what you think is going to be the long-term partnership or the long-term value. 10 years is an enormous amount of time in this business. Tom even said yesterday that, he wants people to, make sure that he fulfills whatever people's expectations are of him if they believe in him. And that's exactly what he's going to do, being a long-term, teammate here at Fox Sports.
I hope you appreciate we waited about 10 minutes before you asked about Brady.
That's fine.
Well, here's the thing. Why would you want to be asked about Tom Brady? I mean, the one thing you have to say is, forgetting the contract, you would want to be in business with Tom Brady. I mean, I think that at the end of the day is why you want Tom Brady. I mean, he's considered the greatest of all time. I mean, I think you guys are going to have to figure out how to get him into stadiums. I mean, it's not just he walks in, right? He's Tom Brady.
Yeah, look, I mean,
So no apologies for me. Maybe John Ourand of the Marchand and Ourand.
Right. But again, he's already saying that he wants to be the greatest to ever do this as well. So I think being in that business, you're exactly right. And from all indications, from what everybody has said, he's one of the most amazing teammates you could ever have.
Eric, big game coming up this weekend. Should we expect a cameo from Tom Brady?
No.
He's going to take a year off. He's going to start in 2024. Should we expect him on air on Thanksgiving next regular season? Have you thought that through yet?
I don't know if that'll happen. We really haven't talked about it. Don't want to put a ton of pressure on making one thing happen or not. I think that what we're going to be doing is he wants to put in a lot of work in the off season, and we'll go from there.
All right, we're going to go to college football in a moment of all your big deals, but one more on this. Troy Aikman was on our podcast. He's been on a number of places. He's called you out saying that the communication wasn't good enough, and that was one of the reasons that he left, and he was disappointed. What was your take on all that?
Look, I feel pretty good about the way that last conversation that I had with Troy as it related to that matter. Once I found out, called him and wished him well.
Gotcha. So did that surprise you that he's been so vocal about saying like things went wrong? I mean, he did get an $18 million a year contract, which is pretty good to leave for ESPN. But, he's kind of like said like there was something wrong in terms of the relationship or that he wasn't communicated with properly.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably try not to read everything that comes out of, interviews that people want to probably either gin him up or whatever. But, between the musical chairs and where things ended up, I think I feel pretty good about the communication.
I got one more because I've given you credit for this, and I just want to hear what the reasoning. You let Joe out of his contract a year early. What was the thinking there? Super Bowl year, he's been here for 24, 25 years before, maybe even longer. What was the thinking on your end to let him out a year early?
Well, I tried not to let him out a year early, and then he asked. And, I felt the finality in his voice, been friends with Joe for a really long time. And when he got to the point of really asking, we knew that was it.
All right, let's get to some rights deals that are coming up. College football playoff. Is Fox interested?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, our status in college football, our investment in college football is something that we've made a high priority. We think that college football is one of our core 5 rights. And, what we've done is we've, really increased our market share in the last 5 years and put a real big product on the air with our commitment to Big Noon Saturday and Big Noon Kickoff. Kind of gone from, having minimal market share to having the number 1 window in all of college football. And so, yeah, I think that, we've told the people in the CFP that we're definitely in the mix.
I've been very bearish about that deal. To me, it's Boise State versus Alabama in Tuscaloosa. How much is that worth to you? I mean, is the price going to possibly be a hindrance there?
Look, everything is market-based and a moment in time. And then, you've got to be pretty content with your strategy in the sense that, adding, it has to have real value, right, to be additive to our portfolio. And, once you go through NFL, Big Ten, World Series, FIFA, NASCAR, it has to actually elevate that mix beyond ad sales if it's strategic. And so, I think at that point you got to figure out, what is the market telling you it's going to cost, and then what does it do for you? It's good. It's these rights they're valued differently by different people, right? For what they need at that moment in time.
How about the Pac-12? You have interest there?
I think again we've set our strategy, and I think we're really content and able to be opportunistic. So if there was something opportunistically with the Pac-12, but now that we have the Big Ten and the Big 12 done, I think we're content with where we are. And if something came up, we'd definitely look at it.
In the Big Ten, I mean, obviously you guys were behind those negotiations and doing the deal for Big New. How did you feel like that? How did you come out of that in terms of your partners and with the Big Ten? What was your feeling in terms of those deals and how it's going to work out now with your kind of triple header of Fox, CBS, and then NBC at night?
Yeah, I think there was the Big Ten came out a winner, right, with those three partners, and really kind of having an NFL feel to Saturday, with three broadcast networks dedicating national airtime to one conference. The addition of USC and UCLA, if the market or if the college football landscape was going to shift, as it already did with Texas and Oklahoma, I think that those are the right great pieces of value add for the Big Ten, and strengthens the Big Ten, and keeps them, the Big Ten and the SEC kind of really on par, at least with each other. So, I think we feel good about our long-term strategic relationship with the Big Ten through the Big Ten Network, and then also Fox, and then being able to at least help in our own way with the addition of USC and UCLA.
All right, let's move to streaming. I've said that your decision, Fox Sports' decision not to get into streaming at this moment, might turn out to be one of the great decisions in sports media history maybe. So first off, you're welcome. Secondly, what was your thinking in terms of doing that?
Doing nothing's a great strategy. That's a joke, by the way. But
it's pretty good. I was like, is that really true?
Look,
I nodded my head to that.
Like, wait,
yes,
I thought, like, wow, I'm good at that.
I have this theory of management by procrastination, and I was going to write a book on it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But the idea of Rupert and Lachlan understanding that they didn't have to do a Me Too service, in the sense that they really recognized, I believe, that it wasn't just about the idea of streaming. It was about the difference between on-demand and live, and where can you be the winner. And I think you saw Rupert's decision to sell really the on-demand assets to Disney, and then to Comcast in Sky, but really then being able to focus on what you can be number one at, if there's going to be really kind of a commoditization of on-demand content. And then it becomes down to how do you deliver that. And so I think what we've all seen is that no one streaming sports service can fulfill what a sports fan needs. And so you're stuck creating your own bundle. And if once you start leaking out the content that was in the bundle, it gets super confusing. People at first think it's more economical, but then when you get everything, all the streaming services you'd need to have to watch the Cowboys, you're back to a bundled price, and you're switching between apps and all that. And so, for the sports fan, still having that bundle, whether it's through streaming or not, like, we're not anti-streaming. Probably about 15 to 20% of our consumption comes through what you'd call is streaming, and it's a great product in most cases. So we feel, again, like, really good that we didn't go down that path, but also have the optionality, just like everybody else, to do it, if the time comes for us to do it.
Can I say to be? I just love saying to be.
Yeah.
It's a great thing to say.
So that optionality, though, is what I'm interested in. What are you looking for to make your decision on what needs to happen for you to say, okay, now we're going down that path?
I think something different than what's happening today. And so what's happening today is I think you're seeing, real growth at the virtual MVPDs, and they're putting out a great product. You're seeing, you just rattled them off at the beginning. We're seeing record ratings in college football, multi-year highs in NFL, World Cup set record ratings, and we were the gatekeeper on the World Cup. None of that leaked out of the bundle, and you're still setting record ratings. And so I think something different has to happen today, and that something different might also be that with the jury kind of still being out on those standalone streaming services, maybe the something that happens is either through consolidation or through other strategic decisions, the bundle does start to become much more appealing again.
I have one more question, and we're like so thrilled to have you on here because we talked about, the from the beginning, I've never seen this before in sports media in terms of the big events that have been on Fox, from the World Cup to the World Series to the Super Bowl, and Daytona's in a week as well. We mentioned the Big Ten deal, which is, Andrew and I have talked about this a lot. It's one of the best business deals I've ever covered. You guys decided, who were going to get those rights. The streaming deal was another a really good one. But the one that I'm really most impressed with is your RSN deal, and you made the decision to sell the RSN group to Disney for, I don't have the numbers in front of me, like $20 billion, $21 billion. They turned around, they sold it to Sinclair for, say, $14 billion. And I remember the price was getting down to $10 billion. I remember having an interview with you, and I was like, why don't you get it? You could save, that's $10 billion that you would make. And you stayed away from it even right then. What did you see?
Well, Rupert's the one that sold the business, right? I think everybody that
we gave you total credit for that. Yeah.
It wasn't mine to sell, but
sell a newspaper if you want.
Exactly. If there's a newspaper for sale, if you guys want to buy it, or at least an ad in the newspaper for the podcast. The group that worked, on the RSNs at one point, we had 44 of the 88 NBA, NHL, and MLB rights. So we were deep into it, and I think we all, we had eventually, come to be the main partner in the Yes Network, as well, and that was really kind of the cap for us, was being a partner with the Yankees, and we thought driving an enormous amount of value, right, into the Yes Network. And it probably got to a point where we thought, or at least a group of us, knew how much leverage we were using of the entire Fox portfolio to continue to get the distribution and the fees that we were getting on those RSNs. They were by no means, inside of the Fox portfolio, they were by no means a standalone business. Every part of the Fox portfolio was used for the distribution and the fees.
Which is crazy to me, because the local rights are powerful. The ratings that you see from those networks are like through the roof locally. That makes but I saw that. Yes Network got knocked off, and it took in New Jersey, Connecticut.
It's hard.
It took Fox News to put them back on.
To be out there on your own is really hard, especially when you're asking such a high rate, and there was a lot of strategy that went into it. But I think we felt pretty good that at that moment of the transaction, Fox had gotten everything out of the RSNs that we were able to get out of. And, at the time when we let go of the RSNs, the earnings of our RSNs were about essentially the exact same size as HBO, right? And if you look at where those two businesses have come kind of in the last 5 years, it's pretty amazing.
John, Eric Shanks, been the CEO since he was 38 years old. It's pretty good. You're also, I think, on the Sports Business Journal Hall of Fame, 40 Under 40.
40 Under 40 Hall of Fame.
Thank you, John.
I did all those write-ups.
Thank you, John.
So you're a Hall of Famer?
I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I vote for the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
All right, so I don't vote for that
I'm
one.
not gonna be in that one.
It's a beautiful building in Charlotte, North Carolina.
I ask, where is the Marchand or Marchand Ourand Super
Get that
Bowl
right.
party? Because I must have missed the invite. Is this where you guys get all the ups on one side and all the downs on the other?
It's
have
actually
like a dodgeball tournament or something.
It's breakfast at the Courtyard Marriott.
Breakfast.
So you're
That's
more than
the
welcome.
Ourand Marchand.
You
Super
see
Bowl
us. Does
party.
anybody want to come to a party with us? I mean, come on. Nobody wants to come to a party with us.
Exactly.
Eric, thank you.
Who's down? Who's down?
Yeah, Eric Shanks might be who's down now. John, Eric Shanks was tremendous, and we are going to have Brian Rolap. We're scheduled to have him podcast coming out Friday, so you can hear that as well. Here's what before we go, I want a prediction from you. I'm putting the over-under, a little Francesa reference there. The over-under, I'm going to go 113.7 million as the over-under. That's not my prediction. You have over or under?
I'm way over. In fact, I'm over Mulva Hill's 115 million. I've it at 115.2 million.
All right, raises for everybody at Fox Sports, including their digital team, because we want to do a.
Wait, hang on. What's your number? You said 113.2 wasn't your number.
Thank people. What did you say? 150.
I have 115.2.
I got 115.21. Okay, that was a little. What is that? Price is Right. That's what you do. You go $1 over. All right, so I beat you again. We want to thank Fox Sports Digital's team. They were tremendous. Looks great. We want to thank our guys, AC, Wyatt, and Chris Mason, for putting together this podcast. And if you can like it, you can star it. You got one more thing?
Yeah, real quick. Eric Shanks is a 40 under 40 Hall of Famer by Sports Business Journal. Michael Buckland, who heads up Fox Sports Digital, I wrote about him last year.
Is he a 40? Is he going to make the Hall of Fame?
He's not quite a Hall of Famer yet, but yeah, we'll see. He has some time.
All right, I'm going to have to.
Hey, Andrew, he has time, right?
If you guys expand the requirements.
What, to get 41 and 42?
All right. Well, this might get him in. We might make an exception to the rule. The Veterans Committee is going to put him in to the Hall of Fame. But we really thank them. They did a tremendous job. And so we're happy to bring this to you and really thank Eric Shanks for joining us. Again, like it, review it. If you give it the stars, we appreciate it. And we'll see you on Friday with another podcast.
Like and subscribe. Thanks.